Hey everyone, welcome back to the Long Travel 29er Shootout Part 2. In Part 1, we demoed the Ibis Ripmo, Transition Sentinel, and Pivot Firebird 29. While the times only differed by a second or two, there were definite differences between their riding characteristics. The Ripmo felt quick to turn and easy to maneuver under the body, but a little outgunned on the rough and steep. The Transition felt like a point-and-shoot ripper, but was a little harder to play with. And the Firebird was like a monster truck on the rough, while remaining fairly light and poppy. In today's episode, we're going to look at the Rocky Mountain Instinct BC, Santa Cruz Megatower, and also the Evil Offering. Be sure to hang in to the end as I take the Ripmo down a steep, gnarly line with the Flannel Crew and Graham Agassi.
Right.
Okay, so first up is the Rocky Mountain Instinct BC on soft yogurt. Being an owner of a 2017 Rocky Mountain Slayer, I really wanted to like this bike. So the Instinct BC felt fairly lively on this trail. It was easy to maneuver under the body, had a lot of pop, and pedaled quite well. This place is pretty close to the Ripmo, and indeed the geometry numbers are fairly similar. However, I felt like the Instinct had a bit more pop, but wasn't quite as quick to turn. And the time? 1:02:05. Whew. That places it within a second of most of the other bikes, so let's go see how it does on Reclaimer.
Yeah. Send it. Oh, this is way too soft.
So right off the start, I nearly lost it and almost crashed. I initially thought it was because the fork was feeling too soft, but as I continued to ride, it didn't feel that soft to me. Indeed, when I checked later on, the sag was correctly set, as well as the low-speed compression. However, the rebound was a little bit fast on it.
So this is the Rocky Mountain Instinct DC edition, and taking it down some tech now, and I almost messed up at the start there. Getting bounced around a little bit more than I would have liked. Rebound maybe a little too quick. Rear end's a little harsh. Like, this feels not so good to me. This is some tight stuff. Sneaky line. See how it goes off the jump. Pretty smooth. For a relatively big bike, I feel like I'm getting thrown around quite a bit more than I should be. Yeah.
And the time on the Rocky Mountain Instinct is 4:32:03. One of the things that stood out for me with this bike was how much I got thrown around with it on the rough stuff. The rear end felt harsh on the square hits as well. And it wasn't quite as fast in the turns as the Ibis Ripmo. Though, to be fair, I think the suspension rebound was a little bit quick, but I definitely had more fun on the flow trail than the technical trail with this bike. So let's try the Santa Cruz Megatower now.
Alright, let's hit some flow on the Megatower and see how. Let's see how the flow Megatower does in the flow.
So immediately the Megatower felt like a big bike. Felt heavy and a little harder to maneuver. And a little bit slow going into and out of that turn. Now, unfortunately, my GoPro died here, so we're gonna have to skip straight to Reclaimer. So by this point, I realized that the Megatower was an excellent plow bike. I could really just point and shoot it, and it rode over everything really well. I found the back end nice and compliant, similar to the Firebird.
Oh,
So I did quickly stop here to help someone out with their flat tire. To account for the slowing down and speeding up with this, I
Hold
took
up.
off 2 seconds from the final time.
all right. Little detour there. So I'm on the Megatower, also known as the Mega Flower.
So while this bike was great for plowing over the rough stuff, it felt like a lot of bike to
Faster.
maneuver through the turns and tight sections.
Oh, almost got you. Hit the jump. Oh,
And the time on the Megatower is 4:34:24. Now this isn't going to be entirely accurate due to the correction I made, and I was also stuck behind Trevor and Andrew near the end. I did feel like this was an excellent plow bike, but a little bit much to maneuver through the tight sections. Anyway, let's try out the Evil Offering now.
Self-yogurt on the Evil Offering. You're gonna see how it does on the jump trails. Whew. Nice. Turns quick. Oh yeah, pops pretty good.
Now, I realize the Evil Offering isn't a long travel 29er, but the Reckoning wasn't available at the time. This is the shorter travel cousin of the Reckoning, and I thought it would give me an impression of how that bike would ride. So I was having a fair bit of fun with this bike. I found it fairly light and playful, but not quite as poppy as the Instinct BC or the
it's
Ibis
a-
Ripmo.
Fun bike, easy to throw around.
And the time on the Evil Offering, 1:02:05.
Hey there.
Let's go see how it does on Reclaimer.
All right. So we're heading down a trail called Reclaimer. Little tech here, and I'm on the Offering. See how this does on chunky stuff. Not bad.
One of the things I quickly
Little red.
realized with the Evil Offering was how compliant the rear end was. I think this is a characteristic of the Delta suspension.
It's not as fast, I think, as the other bikes I rode yesterday. Sentinel, Ripmo, and the Firebird, but it's a little lighter. It's easier to play, easier to pedal up. For such a short travel bike, it does travel. It does go pretty quick. I do have the rebound set a little fast for the chunky stuff here, and set it fast for the flow. So I am getting bucked around maybe a little bit more than I would if I slowed it down. Into a pedally section that pedals really well. Actually, it is a shorter travel bike than I've been riding.
And the time on the Evil Offering is 4:46:07. And I definitely felt pretty slow on this bike. Even though it was light, it pedaled fairly well. Just wasn't as quick on the steep, rough stuff. Well, that concludes part 2 of the Long Travel 29er Shootout. Clearly, it's my riding that makes the biggest difference in the times, as most of them were within only a few seconds of each other. However, they did all have different riding characteristics. I found that the Rocky Mountain Instinct was a playful bike, but a little bit harsh on the rough stuff. The Santa Cruz Megatower was a fantastic plow bike, but a little bit big and cumbersome in the tight stuff. And the Evil Offering seemed like a great trail bike that could really handle some of the steep sections. So I think the Evil Reckoning would be even more capable in the steep. You may have noticed that I didn't really evaluate the climbing abilities of each bike. In order to demo all the bikes, I really had to shuttle, so I didn't get a lot of pedal time. I can say this though, it seemed like the Ibis Ripmo and the Rocky Mountain Instinct were two of the best pedalers of the group. However, they all seemed to climb fairly well. Well, that's a Long Travel 29er Shootout. If you have any questions, leave it below in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. To cap off this week's video, I'll leave you with some footage of a ride I did with the Flannel Crew and Graham Agassi.
And that entry was...
Until next week's episode, ride on.
Whew. Gotta give him some space, I think. Whew. Phew.
Very proud to ride on this bike.
Oh, I remember this part.
Yeah.
Alright, feels pretty good. Medium, large for sure would help in this. Yeah. Whew.
Well, I'm like, I can usually ride it.
Okay. Oh, watch out!
Oh, burns? Yeah. Burns?
Oh. Oh. Take the rock, take that line. Oh shit.
Now I'm in a bad spot. Which way are you going?
I'll go left. Oh god.
Just go a little. Like it's totally rideable. It's one of those last, like, stop and start.